Even if they are successful as racehorses, their offspring will not necessarily be successful in the world of horse racing. However, there are certainly horses that have achieved great results both as racehorses and broodmares. Among those horses, in this video I would like to introduce a horse called Agnes Flora. Before we begin, let's start with some Japanese snacks. In 1987, Agnes Lady's sixth foal was born. Agnes Lady had won the 1979 Oaks, but had finished sixth in the 1600-meter Oka Sho. In order to win Oka Sho with her daughter, Royal Ski was chosen as her breeding partner, which produces many foals that excel at short distances. Royal Ski was a stallion whose grandfather was Bold Ruler, a stallion with a pedigree that truly excelled at short distances on dirt. The female horse born that way was Agnes Flora. Agnes Lady's foals had not had good results up to that point, but Agnes Flora had a great body compared to them and was rated unquestionable. She turned 2 years old and entered the stables. Kawachi was chosen as the lead jockey for Agnes Flora. Kawachi was also the lead jockey for Agnes Lady, the mother of Agnes Flora. Kawachi was a jockey closely associated with horses named Agnes. Agnes Flora's debut race was in December 1989, over 1,200 meters. She was the second favorite in this race, but it was the only time in her life that she was not the favorite. After that, she was always the favorite. Kawachi later said that he was very confident in this debut race. As soon as the race started, Agnes Flora jumped out and quickly took the lead. She held on to the lead and entered the final stretch of the race. She gradually extended the lead over the following horses from here, and when she reached the goal, she had a lead of 10 lengths over the second-place horse. It was a complete victory, just as Kawachi had predicted. After this victory, Kawachi and the trainer discussed Agnes Flora's race plan, and a schedule was arranged assuming her participation in the Oka Sho. Agnes Flora competed in a race a month later. She kept the lead from the start, just like in her debut race, and widened the gap in the final stretch, winning by 3 lengths over the second horse. With this victory, she was promoted to the open class, having won 2 races in a row. Agnes Flora's next race was the Elfin Stakes in February. The track conditions were poor due to rain on that day. And this was her first experience of such conditions. But she overcame this. She did not race to run away as she usually does, but instead took the strategy of breaking away from a good position. She broke away in the final straight and finished in the lead. At the end she had a small gap to the rest of the field, but Kawachi looked quite comfortable, and although the gap was small, it was an easy win. In March, she participated in the Tulip Show. If she can finish within the top 3 here, she will be able to obtain a priority entry right to the Oka Sho. Once the race started, Agnes Flora took the 4th position and started chasing the leader. In the final stretch, she pursued the front runner, Kelly Bag, who was leading the race. Near the remaining 100 meters, she caught up with Kelly Bag. She won by a margin of 1.5 lengths. With this victory, she achieved an undefeated 4 consecutive wins since her debut and secured the priority entry right for the Oka Sho. On the day of the Oka Sho on April 8, it was only natural for her to become the favorite. The race had a fast pace, and Agnes Flora positioned herself around 7th place. When they turned the final corner, she ran quite wide. This was a result of some incidents that occurred with the horses in front of her. Although it was an unfavorable situation for her, she still aimed for the finish line alongside Kelly Bag in the final stretch. In the end, she comfortably pulled away from Kelly Bag, leading by approximately 1 length, and crossed the finish line in first place. With this victory, she achieved the perfect record of 5 wins in 5 races, conquering the classic races undefeated. It was Agnes Flora, the daughter of Agnes Lady, who accomplished what her mother could not by winning the Oka Sho. It was the 5th instance in history that a parent and offspring horse achieved victory in classic races. The owner was extremely delighted and approached the award ceremony with tears in their eyes. Furthermore, this marked Kawachi's 3rd victory in the Oka Sho, setting a new record for the most wins at that time. Agnes Flora's next goal was naturally the Oaks. The race carried the anticipation of her personal achievement of the double tiara and the record of a mother and daughter horse winning the Oaks for 2 generations. However, there were concerns from some that Agnes Flora's sire, Royal Ski, had a pedigree more suited for shorter distances, raising doubts about whether the 2,400-meter Oaks distance would be too long. And so, the race began. It turned out to be a race where Towa Ruby opened up a significant lead over the rest of the field. The pace quickened, with the 1,000-meter mark being reached in a time of 58.6 seconds. During the race, Agnes Flora positioned herself in the middle of the pack, and by the time they turned the final corner, she had moved up to a position near the front. She confidently ran in the center of the track, aiming for the lead. However, Asian Sunny was making a strong move from behind. Asian Sunny had conserved energy towards the back during the race. Agnes Flora was overtaken by her, finishing a close second. To make matters worse, it was discovered after the race that she had a mild fracture in her left foreleg. Since it was a mild fracture, she was scheduled to rest and aim for the Queen Elizabeth Cup, the final race of the Triple Tiara in November. However, during her recovery, she developed tendinitis. She was unable to recover from this injury, and the Oaks became her final race, ultimately leading to her retirement. Her overall record was 5 wins in 6 races. Her near-perfect record made her injury even more regrettable. She retired to become a broodmare. In her 5th year as a broodmare, her foal Agnes Flight won the Derby in 2000. This achievement marked 3 generations of mare horses winning classic races. Furthermore, Agnes Tachyon, born 1 year after Agnes Flight, remained undefeated and won the Satsuki Show in 2001. The primary jockeys for Flight and Tachyon were also Kawachi, just like Flora and Lady. Kawachi had been riding many horses with the name Agnes for many years and had won numerous titles. She left behind an impressive breeding record, but just like herself, the vulnerability in her physique was often inherited by her foals. Both Flight and Tachyon were unable to race satisfactorily due to injuries, and the other foals also suffered from frequent injuries, with many retiring before even making their debut. Agnes Flora developed laminitis in 2005 and unfortunately passed away in August despite treatment. She was 18 years old. Her death was untimely, but Agnes Tachyon has been a great success as a stallion, and it can be said that her bloodline still has a high potential for further expansion. That's all for this time. If you want to know more about Japanese horses, subscribe to this channel. Thank you.